We're going to continue with our next presenter, Roger Clay. For those of you who don't know, Roger has the insight of W.E.B. Du Bois and the writing skills of Frederick Douglass. He is a visiting scholar with the Institute on Research in the Social Sciences at Stanford University, where he primarily works with the Center on Poverty and Inequality. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Roger Clay.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Maya, and everybody for inviting me back. I was working on this for a long time, starting with Kilolo back in 2004, and it's really gratifying to see how far things have come. It's my pleasure to present the Asset Building Champion Award to John Powell. John's been a friend of mine, personal friend, for 50 years. And so I'm going to say a couple of things about him before the sort of formal stuff, because Maya said that he was an academic activist. So it's not hard for his friends that have known him as long as I have to know that he is here today. When John was a freshman in college, he decided to take all upper division courses one semester, more than 20 units, and he got straight A's, and everybody said, "Woo, that guy is really something." He's always sort of been a troublemaker. That's the way I'm defining an activist. I was the head of the BSU at Stanford, but also in the personal life. When I got married, John came to the reception. My wife and I didn't have much money, so we decided we would hold it in a church that didn't allow alcohol to dampen people's, expectations. And John bought a fifth of Tanqueray, unwrapped, and set it right in the middle of all the gifts. So he's always been sort of a troublemaker like that, and he's a great friend that way. Most of you know John or know his work. For those of you who don't, I'd like to say a few things about where he is today. He's an international recognized expert in the areas of civil rights and civil liberties and a bunch of related fields: race, racism, ethnicity, housing, poverty. He holds the Robert D. HAAS Chancellor's Chair in Equity and Inclusion at the University of California, Berkeley. He's also a professor of law and a professor of African American Studies and Ethnic Studies at Berkeley. And for what's important to us, he's the founder and executive director of the HAAS Institute for a Fair and Inclusive Society. And let me just say that this is the third institute that John has founded that deals with race. The HAAS Center supports research to generate specific recommendations for changes in policy and practice and address disparities related to race and ethnicity. One of John's gifts to us is the creation and promotion of a number of concepts that we now all use in our work. Three of them are opportunity-based housing, targeted universalism, and implicit or unconscious bias. So, John, please come up.
So, good evening. I would like to recognize all of you. There are many wonderful friends I've known for many years. Where's Abby Yo-Yo?
Right here.
Ah, okay. Hey, Abby. I knew Abby when she was 3 years old. She called me last night to say she was coming. I said, "Can I still call you Abby Yo-Yo?"
Only you, though.
Only me. Obviously, I've known Roger 50 years, Nikki, Henry, many of you, and I've had the pleasure of working with many of you. More recently, I got a chance to know Maya. Life keeps getting better. Maya is just, she's all that. She's well-connected, she's smart, she's savvy. She's one of the reasons I think we do have a fighting chance to move this agenda. I'm going to just make a few remarks, but before I do, I want to apologize. And I want to apologize because I'm going to run out when I'm done, but I'll be back. I'm going to Philadelphia tonight. I have a breakfast meeting tomorrow with Cardinal Rodriguez, who is part of the forward team bringing Pope Francis here in September. And they want to talk about issues that are important to the United States, including issues of race, and I've been asked to be a part of that conversation. Now, in case you think I'm really a troublemaker, which maybe I am, what I want to tell you is that, first of all, Roger drank the Tanqueray. And secondly, he's still married to the same woman. So it's not all bad. These are profound issues that we're dealing with. And I've written a paper where I say poverty is essentially a status of not belonging. It's not just a lack of wealth. And we just had a conference in the Bay Area on othering and belonging. And what's happening in the country is a form of extreme othering to populations, Black, Latino, people, excuse me, people incarcerated, where we're saying, you don't belong. This is not your country. So it's not surprising that after a number of black men get killed, you have a saying Black Lives Matter, saying we belong. So the work we're doing is profound, not just about wealth in the narrow sense, but about, is this our country? Now, I've teased Roger some, and I've been part of the cohorts with a number of you, Tom Shapiro and others, around this issue of wealth. But in our 10, 12 years we've been doing work, we have to acknowledge wealth disparities have gotten worse. And thank you. You know, I had a conference in Detroit, and my dad, who's 95 years old, the press was there, and he said, great, John, but what difference does it make? And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we make a difference. And we work smart, we work hard, but the wealth disparity is increasing. And one reason it's increasing is because of policies in the country, is because the role of government. In fact, wealth disparities is accelerating. And there's not one disparity, there are two, and they're related. And I'll say more about this in my remarks tomorrow. But one is the disparities between people of color and whites, and the other is the disparity between the elites and everybody else. We need to link those two things together and understand the policies that are driving them. This is not the market. This is not nature. This is not inevitable. This is something that people with power have decided to actually implement on behalf of some people against other people. This is a way of people saying, these people matter, excuse me, and these people don't. In the 1980s and 90s, I started studying concentrated poverty. And one of the things I kept saying then, and I'll say it now, is we really can't understand or change concentrated poverty unless we also deal with concentrated wealth. We actually understand on some level that concentrated poverty maybe is a problem, but we don't link it to the problem of concentrated wealth. Last two comments. We're talking about inequality. Inequality basically say to people, you don't belong, but we're also saying to the people at the concentrated wealth side, not only do you belong, this is your country, right? Not a democracy, not the vast majority of people. You own this country. And so our work is actually bigger than what we might think it is. It's not simply closing one of those gaps, it's closing both of those gaps. And if we don't do them, not only do black people, Latinos, Native Americans, and others lose, we lose our country, we lose our economy, and we lose our environment. So I want to salute all of you for trying to save this country, even though it doesn't necessarily want to be saved. Thank you.